listening to Sports Radio Detroit.
Welcome to Grave Discussions. I'm your host, Barnabas.
And I am your co-host, the double-horned Samael. And welcome to episode 70, Summer of 19.
I only have one horn.
True. Episode 70, bro. You'd have to, if you want to listen to every single podcast, you'd have to binge it for almost 3 days straight.
Yeah, that's insane. Maybe even longer than that because we've had some longer episodes, but
3.5 days.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
12 days.
Been doing it for about a year now, over a year, and this episode actually marks kind of the anniversary of our mid-year kind of horror review.
Yes.
Last year, I think it was episode 25, I want to say. We did
we were just noobs.
Oh yeah, the summer of 18, where we tied in the summer of 84, but we kind of talked about what's happened in horror so far in 2018. We're going to do the same thing this episode.
Yes.
So very excited about that.
Yes.
I can tell that you're excited. So
I mean, 70, bro.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, soon we'll be at 100, guys. So thank you for sticking around.
30 more weeks.
Yep, exactly.
And we'll be here every single week.
That's right. Unless we die again.
I never died, technically.
That's true. So, guys, before we get into it in earnest, we do have to give a quick shout out to our gracious host network, Sports Radio Detroit.
The one and only, and you can find them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at SRD Sports Radio Detroit. Just look them up. SRD Sports Radio Detroit, not Detroit Sports Radio.
That's right. And we just have a very brief sponsored message, so stick around. Here at Grave Discussions, we know that addiction can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Let the Detox Helpline help you break your addiction to drugs and alcohol. Call the addiction specialist now at the Detox and Treatment Helpline 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
They're always available for you, and if you have private insurance, they specialize in finding you the right treatment. Give them a call at 1-800-213-9257. That is 800-213-9257.
All right, Sam. So a lot of developments, as always, in the world of horror since our last episode. And this week we've got some spicy stuff. First thing coming in the comic book world, actually, where a lot of horror does exist. We don't talk about it too much, but this one is actually pretty important. John Carpenter going to be co-writing one-shot Joker comic book.
I was really confused by this because I didn't know Carpenter was like a Batman fan.
Yeah.
And I didn't know he was a comic fan at all. So what's going on?
Yeah, I don't really know, honestly. I've never been privy to any of that kind of knowledge as well. But hey, he could have like a fucking secret nerd comic basement for all we know. He's just got like a life-size statue of the Joker or something.
He could have a turtle fetish for all we know. We wouldn't know.
That's true, yeah. He and Quentin Tarantino, just turtles and feet hanging out.
Those weirdos.
I'll stop making it worse. Sorry. So, yeah, he actually did work on something before, too, which is actually pretty interesting. He actually worked with Anthony Birch, who's going to be working with on this Joker one-shot, on a previous comic, actually related to his films, though. It was Big Trouble in Little China, Old Man Jack. So
they have comics?
Yeah, apparently. I mean, there's a lot of Big Trouble in Little China stuff out there, you just got to look for it, kind of. But
jeez, Carpenter, I fucking love you. I didn't even know you do this stuff, man.
Right? Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, he's got his hands
How dare you keep this from me, bro? What else are you keeping from me?
Dude, he's just got to hit you up on Twitter with every announcement.
He should. I love the guy.
Yeah, I know. So, yeah, he's going to be working on this comic. It's going to be called The Joker, Year of the Villain, #1, as part of DC's larger Year of the Villain event. So that's cool, and it's coming out in October, actually, so pretty soon. Next up, guys, we have a casting announcement. Actually, this one was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought this was fucking sweet.
Yeah. So we talked about Lee Winnell's Invisible Man pretty recently, where we covered that movie and the original film. We still didn't know who like the main guy was going to be, but now we know.
And it's going to be Oliver Jackson Cohen from The Haunting of Hill House, a.k.a. off-brand Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, essentially. He played Luke Crane, who was the very close brother to Nell, and he was like the drug addict or whatever. So, I mean, I think he did an awesome job acting in that series, so I can see it. I mean, plus he's already got that kind of
Weirdo demeanor.
yeah, kind of like he didn't play an abusive asshole boyfriend in The Haunting of Hill House, but yeah, he gives me that vibe like that's who we could play. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's that announcement. That's pretty cool. I'm excited about it. Next up, guys, we have now a series coming to Shudder, but it's not an original series, although still a pretty cool announcement. AMC's Nosferatu, which I believe we talked about before.
Yeah, we did.
It's
months before it came out, we were anticipating it.
Yes, there's a series adaptation of Joe Hill's novel of the same name, and I've actually been seeing a lot of good reviews and comments about this series, and it's coming to Shudder now in August.
It's pretty awesome. I saw people on like the horror groups like whiling about it. They were saying how like first it's like a bit slow and then it gets like really good. So I might just check it out once it comes to Shudder. I mean, I do have my cable box plugged in finally because I had to plug it in to watch Scream Resurrection.
Oh yeah.
And now I can probably catch Nosferatu on demand as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can, as long as you have AMC, which I think most people have AMC if they have cable.
Oh yeah.
Then you can watch it. But if you don't and you have Shudder, you're going to be able to watch it on Shudder in August, which is pretty sweet. Like, I don't have cable in my room, but I have Shudder, so I'll probably check it out. And I've always liked Zachary Quinto, and anything that comes from the King bloodline is basically going to be at least pretty interesting story-wise. So
I'd love to see a modern adaptation of Langoliers.
that would be dope. Yeah.
Because the miniseries was good up until you actually see the Langoliers.
Yeah.
And they're these like fucking Pac-Man looking Nintendo 64 graphic fucking...
Really bad CGI.
Yeah, horrible.
I don't know if anybody could replace Mr. Toomey, but...
No, dude, that dude's amazingly creepy.
Mhm.
I think if they like make him a bit older and not a young guy, we could cast Jack Nicholson.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, possibly. He pulls off crazy really well. So.
He really does. I mean, Jim Carrey could play him too.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Hint, Hollywood. I know you're listening. Every time we even mention anything on the podcast that we're just speculating about, 3 months later, guess what's getting a special release? Like, oh, really? We just happen to know?
Yeah,
sure.
I don't know, man. So, guys, let's move on to a few trailers now. Speaking of creepy, we've got a trailer that we have previewed, but now there's a full trailer out for 3 from Hell.
So we saw the trailer from 3 from Hell, and what is revealed is that the 3 from the Devil's Rejects were not dead. They were in critical condition, and there was like a 1 in 4 million chance that they would make it out. And there's people rallying like, set them free, they didn't do it. And they're like, we're being framed or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Even though, no, we see what happened.
Mm.
And then the cop that got killed by Tiny from the last movie is in here still, somehow. So like, it looks like no one that actually died in the last movie died.
I guess not. I have no idea. I'm not even going to try. Dude, when they rolled them up, like in the trailer, when they rolled them up on the slabs, it looked like they were like cows that went through a meat grinder. I'm like, dude, I know that it's Rob Zombie, so it's weird, but still, you know, this is supposed to be a slightly more realistic thing. I'm assuming that there's going to be some kind of satanic shit going on.
Let me be a little bit judgmental, and you have to be too for this trailer. The cinematography was horrid.
Yeah, it looks...
Every shot was a close-up shot.
If you watch 31, this camera style feels very similar, so I don't know if it's the same DP or not, but
it's like cheap grindhouse.
It's that grindhouse, very like quick zoom ins to a close up and just shock stuff, you know, basically. My whole thing is, I don't even really care about the movie, honestly. My whole thing is that the movie declares itself a masterpiece in this trailer.
Or someone declared it who's seen it already.
I mean, you know, Rob Zombie had to probably approve that shit. He probably put it in there like, put that it's a modern horror masterpiece right now or you're fired, you know. And man, that really made me just want to tombstone pile drive him. Come on, man.
Let's be real. His only two good movies, one of them's a ripoff of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, House of a Thousand Corpses, and then the other one, he did very well. I'd like to see him do more experimental horror. I liked Lords of Salem.
Yeah. I thought Lords of Salem was actually
disturbing.
a solid idea.
It was disturbing too, like the ambiance in the movie, the atmosphere, it's kind of has like brainwash techniques with all the chanting and all the stuff to make you feel uneasy on purpose subconsciously.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine.
Very Texas like monster infused witchcraft kind of.
I thought it was
stuff,
perfect,
you know?
honestly.
Yeah, it was good.
Like for Rob Zombie, that was like Lords of Salem is his most underrated thing, and like it's kind of sad that all his other movies have to be like, there's hillbillies, they're crazy and they're murdering people, and like that's it.
Yeah, there's no real like plot line that I can derive from this trailer, so it's going to be a lot of just going around murdering, I'm assuming. And yeah, that's pretty much what I expected. So we'll see. Again, that one's coming out September 16th through the 18th in select theaters, so be on the lookout. But next up,
if you want,
you
don't have to. Just saying.
Yeah, you don't have to. You can watch another movie. But next up, guys, this one's actually pretty exciting. Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island.
Oh my God, they're making a sequel to my favorite Scooby-Doo movie. Dude, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, that shit came out, at least like, it came out on Cartoon Network on like Cartoon Fridays.
Yeah.
During like the close to Halloween time. It was October. It was the fall. Remember, I came home after school and I was just waiting for it to come on TV, and I was super excited, and it easily became my favorite Scooby-Doo movie. And now they're going back for some reason. I don't know why. Why are they going back? And how did they not notice that that's where they were going? Well, we've been here before. Dude, if someone was taking me to Croatia, I'd be like, hey, I know this place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Dude, I mean, it took them like pretty much until they were almost at the dock to be like, hey, this place looks familiar, you know, as if you going into Louisiana or wherever they were probably wouldn't have sparked your memories, you know. But,
yeah.
But okay. But anyway, I mean, it's cartoon logic, so sure. But yeah, the Scooby Gang yeet themselves back to Zombie Island somehow. Jesus Christ, I'm sorry.
Yeet.
Stop it. And yeah, they stumble upon the curse again and they encounter the zombies. We don't see, you know, I forget what her name was, but the cat lady, the cat people from the first one.
Because they died, right?
I think so, yeah.
That's horrible. In the Scooby-Doo movie, people dying.
I know. And I mean, there's real, like, supernatural entities in this one, you know?
It's weird because from what it looks like in the trailer, the zombies aren't the good guys this time.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on. I feel like there's another curse or something that's happening, you know, but we're going to find out, though, and it's a pretty exciting announcement.
Oh, September 3rd.
Yeah, September 3rd on digital, and then if you want to get the physical disc, you can do that on October 1st.
Oh, you know I'm doing that.
Oh, yeah, I want to do that, too. And
let's do it.
Let's do it. So the last trailer that we have to announce is for one called The Night Hunter, or just Night Hunter, coming out August 8th on DirecTV, and then September 6th in theaters and on demand. This one, more of a thriller, kind of in the realm of something like Zodiac or Split. Yeah.
So like there's this guy and he lures like sexual predators, and then he like gives them erectile dysfunction. And then he's from Shutter Island. He's a bald doctor dude. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, one of his like baits gets like kidnapped, and then they track her, and then they catch the guy who's one of the characters from Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah.
He was like the dude who got set on fire by Freddy and then cut up. Mm-hmm. And he's crazy. He's like the dude from Split, and that's about it. There's nothing really going on here.
Yeah, I mean, it looks solid. The atmosphere looks pretty good. The cast is definitely the most appealing part. It's got Henry Cavill, Ben Kingsley, Alexandra Daddario, Stanley Tucci, Nathan Fillion for some reason is in this movie. And I think Brendan Fletcher is the Freddy vs. Jason guy. But he's a good actor. They're all pretty good actors. So I'm pretty excited about it. You know, barely falls into horror. I think we're going to see more of that in the movie than what was let on in the trailer, maybe. But yeah, it has those Zodiac vibes. The articles kind of compares it to Silence of the Lambs. Sure, I guess. But it looks okay.
Not bad.
Yeah. So, guys, that's it for the news today. But stick around. We've got a pretty cool discussion coming up next in a little place that we like to call the Cult Corner. And in this week's Cult Corner, Boils and Ghouls, we've got pretty hilarious
and extremely underrated, extremely underlooked, and my favorite horror comedy of all time,
Club Dread.
Broken Lizards Club Dread.
Exactly, yeah. This is actually what I find it funny that they always put these like Broken Lizards, Super Troopers.
It's always the same guys in these movies.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I respect that. You know, it's commitment for sure. But they're a talented bunch of people, and I think they're pretty fucking funny.
Dude, they're hilarious.
And, yeah, Club Dread. Actually, fun fact, I think the Broken Lizard crew said that this was, in their opinion, their funniest movie, and I would agree with that. I mean, Super Troopers is pretty funny. I actually haven't watched Beer Fest, but I heard that was pretty fucking hilarious. But Club Dread just has something special. I think because it has just a legit story to it, and it's a legit movie on top of being funny.
It is, and it has like really strong horror elements too. It's not like straight up a comedy. It's just conveniently funny. I think it was amazingly well written. One of our favorites, Bill Paxton, plays Coconut Pete.
Yep.
In my favorite Bill Paxton role besides Bill from Twister.
Play Margaritaville.
I think you mean Pina Colada Burg. A little song that was on the market for fucking years for Margaritaville. But you wouldn't know that because you weren't even born yet. Son of a bitch, motherfucker. Fuck that guy.
Play Margaritaville.
Oh my God.
That show was hilarious. But yeah, Bill Paxton, of course, does a phenomenal job as Coconut Pete in this movie. And yeah, I mean, just piggybacking kind of off of what you said, this is a legit horror movie. You know, this is not really a spoof in the truest sense of the word, like something like Scary Movie, for example, you know, which kind of just goes from scene to scene and set piece to set piece. This movie actually has a lot of relevant character dynamics and dialogue between characters. There's actually a legitimate like mystery to the movie. It's really just that some of the jokes and stuff are a little over the top, but not too over the top.
In this one, you don't really like get spoon-fed a plot. You don't find out who's killing until the end or why or any hints. So what I really liked, I liked the Machete Phil story at the campfire. So let's start at the beginning. The movie starts off with this fucking dude, right? And he's with these two chicks, and they're about to have sex in like a mausoleum or whatever the fuck. And they get split open. One of them falls off a cliff. The other one gets her head chopped off as she's running back to safety. Screen cuts were like 2 hours beforehand. Everyone's pulling up to the island for spring break. We see Lars, you know, he's like the new guy. He's like trying to introduce himself. And that's when we get introduced to Sam, Dave, what's his name? Putman, Jenny.
My favorite character,
Juan Castillo, who went to Yale for having a sex with a goat. I lived on a farm, and I got lonely.
That's what it was about.
Costa Rican prison, man. That's some hardcore anal action. Fucking Dave.
Yeah.
So we get introduced to all these characters, and every single one of them gets something said to them, and we get like a 3-second pause with like ominous music as they stare at the person that said it to them, giving us the hint that, hey, it could be anybody. But the first person that does that is our actual killer, who is Machete Sam. So typical hijinks throughout the movie. They're at like this club shooting tequila out of water guns into people's mouths. My favorite part, where they're like, hey, hit me. And he shoots the water gun with alcohol into the guy's mouth. He's like, Jesus Christ, that's tequila. And he runs away.
Yeah.
And then we see Lars like fucking loves Coconut Pete. He's like this like masseuse who can like touch people anywhere and make them like orgasm. And then we have Jenny, who's like the alpha female. She's like supposed to be the hottest one there. I like Penelope a little better.
Penelope is great.
I like Penelope.
Oh, you are a gymnast?
Oh, gracias. What are you, a fucking praying mantis woman? My favorite part was the maze. Follow the banana. Follow the banana. Yeah. I don't know. Overall, like, classic movie. I don't know why it's so underlooked because, like, it has great horror elements. The stalk and slash, the whodunit aspect. We got our Ahab. I forget his name.
Is it Hank?
Hank. Hank is our Ahab. He gets put out relatively easy. We got Coconut Pete drunkenly, angrily yelling at everyone throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. He's supposed to be peaceful, though.
Coconut Pete's paella. Can anyone guess the secret ingredient? Coconut Pete's paella. Coconut. Yes, goddammit, yes. You think Eddie Money has to put up with this shit?
Dude, the writing was just genius.
It was probably the funniest movie I've watched.
Yeah.
Like, to date, and it holds up. Since 2004, this movie holds up.
Yeah, dude.
15 years, and it's still amazing.
I'm just glad that, it presents itself the way it does. I think some people might like this better if it was done in the style of, like, a scary movie. But, the fact that there isn't, like, a mountain of cum exploding on fucking Anna Faris,
yeah,
indicates to me that this is, like, it's a funny movie, but it's also meant to actually be like a legit horror movie. And it's cool that all the characters not only are great, like I like pretty much all the characters. They all have their moments. They're funny as shit.
Putman's hilarious. Putman's like this British dude with like dreads, and like he like has a thing for Jenny, but she's like slept with everyone besides him. We got Juan Castillo, the Costa Rican dude who's like super hypersexual, and he's hilarious, and he's like the cliff master, like dive master, whatever. Who else we got? We got Dave. He's Coconut Pete's nephew. He's on drugs all the time.
Yeah.
Sam is the fun police. He's like really doesn't say that much throughout the whole movie. Lars, like I said, the masseuse. Penelope, the shy girl who's on vacation. And yeah, that's pretty much all the important people. And they all have amazing chemistry together. Like they all look like they're real, like they actually do this. Like they're at the island with Coconut Pete, and all this hilarious shit ensues. And I really like the pacing of the movie. I like that they made their own score for this movie, which is basically Bill Paxton singing. Like Pina Colada Berg is one of my favorite songs ever.
Apparently Jimmy Buffett actually was so amused. He did some like covers of some of the songs.
Really?
On his tours and shit, yeah.
Wow.
Which is pretty interesting.
That's amazing. Jimmy Buffett likes Club Dread.
Yeah. I mean, because the Coconut Pete character is basically modeled off of him, but yeah, that was cool. And I was going to say, not only are all the characters sweet, I mean, I love the score and everything as well, but in terms of the actual story and the characters, they all pretty much look like they might be the killer, like, so
yeah, everyone has the potential.
Yeah, it does a good job of introducing all of these like twists and elements and just kind of pulling you in different directions. And that just kind of goes along with what you said before. We don't even really know who to expect as the killer until the very end. But now, like you mentioned this as well, like Sam is probably like the most tame of all of them from the get-go as far as like his personality goes. So I wonder if that's kind of an early like foreshadowing him being the killer.
I think it is, because he's not as pro-social as everyone. He's just like the fun police. He's there to make sure you have fun. He doesn't really say funny shit at all. When we get to the mystery, the killer drops clues on like the activities board and on everything to like let people know like what's gonna happen. So Naughty Cal got tired of living on land, so the three amigos took an undersea trip and were never seen again. And then Naughty Cal like crashed. So when Cliff died, the pair that got sliced open in the labyrinth, it said Naughty Cliff on him, and he crashed with like he crashed into like the thing his dead body did. So they're like looking through these Coconut Pete songs, trying to like decipher like what the killer's next move is gonna be. And they come to the conclusion that someone's gonna get killed with an octopus.
Oh yeah.
Awkwardly enough, Penelope brings Juan some octopus. That was a really good red herring. I did not figure out it was not her. Like the whole movie, I kind of suspected her the most, but like Killer was kind of too big to be her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, fair. I mean, it's still cool that they kind of tried to make you think that, though. Most movies, if you try to introduce like too many twists, then it just becomes way too convoluted.
Oh yeah.
This one, I mean, I guess it kind of was, but that was the whole point, especially since there was that element of humor in it. So I didn't mind it in this movie. I actually kind of liked it because it's like, oh wait, maybe it's Lars because he's a new guy, or maybe it's blah blah blah, and it kind of just keeps you engaged. So that was cool. And dude, I mean, I thought the fucking kills and practical effects were awesome too. Like the overall production design was great.
You know what I really like too? It did not seem like an early 2000s movie. Didn't have like the weird like tilting camera cinematography.
Yeah.
Didn't really have any Scream or I Know What You Did Last Summer vibes. It kind of I Know What You Did Last Summer with the hooded assailant or whatever.
Sort of.
Or urban legend,
Yeah.
But I think it was like special in its own way because like before this I haven't watched a movie that takes place on spring break and there's a killer killing people in this Mexican island,
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, if I watched it for the first time, I wouldn't expect that this was like a spoof movie or anything like that.
No.
I would either think it was a byproduct of the Scream era, or just uh, an actual slasher movie that is just funny as well.
Yeah, I think I would classify it as a horror that just happens to be fucking hilarious because the people in it are just funny. Some people are just naturally funny like that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, it was just a great screenplay, honestly, and just a great horror film, and it just helps that it's fucking funny as hell. So
Yeah, Broken Lizard, man. You guys are awesome.
yeah. So I don't really have a whole lot more to say about this movie. I definitely think that there is a cult following for this, and I know there is for Broken Lizard. But if you guys haven't checked out Club Dread, we definitely recommend that you do so. You can rent it somewhere, but I always see it around like used DVD stores and stuff like that. So
Oh yeah, everywhere. I bought the director's cut from eBay, and like there's a few extra scenes with like Sam taking a piss and the police spying on him, and then like shooting a flaming arrow into like the boat of the cops as they're going away.
Okay, interesting.
There's a few extra things on there, and I thought it was nice to. I watched the director's cut for the first time actually this year. I think we watched it together. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, we may have. Yeah. Okay, interesting. I have to check it out again. Is that Blu-ray or DVD?
DVD. They don't have the Blu-ray.
I was gonna say.
I'd love to see Scream Factory re-release Club Dread on Blu-ray.
Yeah. I think it would look good in HD. I definitely would like somebody to remaster this.
It would look so good because I mean, we saw when they re-released Jeepers Creepers 2 on Blu-ray how fucking amazing that looked. Imagine Club Dread. I mean, it's in a tropical place, and I mean, like you really see it too. Like the cinematography really shows you like the whole island. So like, I feel like it would be a really good one to do.
Yeah, like we said, it's a legit movie. So
I'm about to message Scream Factory right now.
Yeah, do it. Scream Factory. If anyone from your team is listening to this, there you go. So yeah, guys, that's going to be it for the Cult Corner this episode. We are going to move on to our main segment, but just stick around. We do have a few sponsored messages, and then we'll be back.
Because I feel like a salad tossing might feel good.
What? Out of Bounds Detroit podcast. Tuesday morning and Friday mornings here on sportsradiodetroit.com.
Hey, Samuel.
Hey Barnabas, what's up?
Oh, not much. Have you ever written a book?
No, but I've written a musical.
Oh, well, you can become a published author with Dorrance Publishing, the nation's oldest publishing services company.
Aha, I hear countless authors have trusted Dorrance for nearly 100 years to bring their books to the market.
Their professional team will edit your text, design your book pages, and create an appealing, eye-catching custom cover. Plus, their authors benefit from a custom book promotion marketing campaign that makes your book available where people buy books.
So, make this free call right now to claim your free author's guide to publishing. Do not wait another day. Take one step closer to realizing your dream of becoming a published author.
And seeing your name in print.
Aha! You've already written a book. Next thing to do is make this free call now to Dorrance Publishing and get your free guide to publishing. Call right now.
The number is 1-800-213-9259. Again, 1-800-213-9259. 9259. Welcome back, fiends. So in this week's main segment, we are going to give kind of our mid-year review of horror movies in 2019, just like we did last year. And it's been quite the year, dude. Honestly, I think overall at this point in the year, I'm maybe a little bit more impressed with horror in 2019 than I was in 2018. I think we've actually had a lot of really strong horror movies come out.
Depends. Not, I wouldn't say a lot.
Well, I mean, out of the big stuff that's come out, I think more often than not, you can say that it's been pretty good.
Out of this year, let's see what I liked so far. I liked Us.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the Prodigy was all right. I enjoyed Pet Cemetery. Midsummer was my favorite. Hole in the Ground was good. Godzilla was all right. Escape Room was pretty decent. That was the first one of this year.
Mm-hmm.
Curse of La Llorona was
Yeah.
Child's Play was decent. Brightburn was great. And Annabelle Comes Home was okay.
Yeah.
Those are the ones I saw, at least. Velvet Buzzsaw was okay, whatever.
Yeah, that one, honestly, at this point has been kind of forgettable. I definitely wanted to talk about stuff that we feel was kind of underlooked and ended up being better than we thought, and stuff that maybe we had high expectations for and kind of underperformed for us, stuff like that. But Velvet Buzzsaw, I guess I'll point out, was actually a pretty big deal when it was first announced.
Oh yeah, everyone was raving about it
Yeah.
on social media.
It was the Netflix hype plus Jake Gyllenhaal and everything. I mean, that dude's having a banner year, but it's Jake Gyllenhaal. But Velvet Buzzsaw was pretty cool in concept. Definitely kind of a disappointing one to me. I mean, I enjoyed it, but it was a little hard to kind of wrap my head around everything that was happening in that movie. Not because I didn't get it, but just I don't know. It was an interesting experience. I'll say that much. But definitely not what I was expecting.
No, not at all. But it's artsy hipster horror, so
Yeah, but we have had some good art house horror come out. We won't talk about Midsommar too much just yet. We gave a whole episode about it pretty much last week.
and we just wrote a whole review.
We did, yeah. Check those things out if you haven't yet. But I mean, Hagazusa was pretty good. That one came out. I didn't write that one on here, but that one was also an art house horror film, and one that we both pretty much enjoyed.
Oh yeah, I liked the visuals. I liked how each scene dragged down and made you live in it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the foreboding score. You know me with that fucking those types of movies.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it too. We've been seeing a lot of that. I think some just better than others. I mean, if we're going to talk about trends, I mean, that's, I think, definitely one of them. Something that Hereditary kind of maybe didn't start, but really kind of propelled that movement kind of forward. So now we're seeing a lot more of that slow churning art house kind of horror. Some of it is definitely a lot better than others, a little bit more inspired, like The Witch in the Window, for example. Remember that one?
I enjoyed that one.
I enjoyed it, but it did feel very kind of safe.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Compared to something like Midsommar or Hagazusa, which took bigger risks, and I feel kind of paid off for those movies more than it did for something like The Witch in the Window or The Perfection even. I enjoyed The Perfection for the most part, but the ending, not so much. But the rest of the movie definitely had that kind of vibe to it as well. But at least was kind of an interesting premise. So I don't know. What do you think about this trend of the woke horror or the elevated horror?
I think as long as it's done well, it'll get a lot of viewers. But if it's too slow burny and too preachy and there's hidden metaphors and shit in the movie that you have to break down, I think less people will be interested in it because people don't. Some people, I want to say, most people, don't watch horror for any kind of depth, especially the 80s fans. They want blood, guts, and camp.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. Something like Book of Monsters maybe appeals more to them, we talked about that
I think
last week as well. But okay, so let me ask you this. Considering what we've seen so far in 2019 out of like that kind of subgenre. Do you think it's still going to keep going strong after this year, or do you think it's going to kind of, lose its popularity?
I think it might lose its popularity, and like there's gonna be like a lot of those movies, but it's gonna be like the really lesser looked at movies that are gonna just appear on Tubi and Prime that have like 3-star ratings. It's really like hit or miss with them. Like 1 out of 2 people like them, so.
Yeah, that's fair. I would say, I mean, art house kind of stuff in general is very niche and kind of only attracts certain types of people, but kind of like what I was alluding to, the more kind of risks you take with certain things, as long as it's well thought out, you can make a good horror movie out of it, and even like more casual viewers may appreciate it. Something like Mandy, I think even, not quite there. It's not as slow moving and metaphorical, and it does have a lot of, action and blood and Nick Cage and his tighty whities and etc. But that's one that can kind of more appeal to a wider group of people, I feel like, than something like maybe Midsummer, which is just really out there. But I think this like specific kind of that horror is probably going to die down within like the next 2 years, because I don't see it really going as long as like the slasher trend went, or even the post Scream trend so much. I think that something is going to have to change to make it more interesting, more appealing. But we're always going to have people, I feel like Ari Aster, who are just going to do their own weird thing.
I think so. I heard his next movie is going to be a comedy.
Yeah, I mean, his first 2 movies had comedic elements. I mean, Midsummer was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
So, I mean, I'm not surprised by that. But it's going to be, nightmarish again. So, again, this is going to be kind of that more upper echelon of horror, if you will. But, I mean, apart from that stuff, we saw a lot of remakes as well. A lot of sequels to things. So what are your thoughts on that?
Man. I think we should just chill out with the remakes, because, like, it's becoming a trend now. Like, and it's just, like, I feel like it's just a cash grab. I feel like the people making the remakes aren't like really like die-hard fans of like the original, and I don't think they're bringing anything new that we wanted to see in the original that we didn't.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, really the only big ones that have been released so far this year were Pet Sematary and Child's Play.
And those are fine.
Yeah, and those were fine, but I mean, there's been a lot of announcements, there's been a lot of other stuff coming out, and obviously,
Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah, not even just in the movies, but we've been seeing a lot of that stuff happening on TV as well.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it's definitely more than we've mentioned, but yeah, I don't know, dude. I mean, every time I see one, like I get kind of excited, like a small part of me does, just because, I kind of want to see what it might look like in the modern day. Jacob's Ladder, maybe like not so much, but kind of the new Black Christmas, like I'm kind of interested to see what they're going to do with it. But in general, yeah, it still feels like kind of a lot, especially with the TV series, dude. It just feels like maybe an excessive amount.
I think it really is. I think it's because people complain too much, like people want something original, and then something like Hereditary or Midsummer comes out, and people just bitch up a storm, and it's like, you wanted new horror. You don't want the same fucking cliches and bullshit that you've seen the past 50 fucking years in horror. At least people say they don't, but they really do. They just want to see that in modern day. So
yeah,
I suggest watching Cabin in the Woods, The Final Girls, Bloodfest, Hellfest. If you're a fan of the last 50 years of movies, you'll enjoy these movies.
Yeah, I agree with that. You don't really need remakes so much. I mean, hell, even Us had a bunch of 80s, callbacks and little Easter eggs and stuff in it too. So, I mean, that will never die, but it's definitely an easy cash grab for some studios and things. So, I don't know. Honestly, though, for what we've seen so far, I've enjoyed them more than the sequels, the newest additions to, in particular, the Conjuring franchise. I think one big topic for me this year has been sort of the decline in quality of the Conjuring verse franchise. Annabelle Comes Home was really just meh. We talked about that. We talked about The Curse of La Llorona as well, which we both didn't like.
Oh yeah.
Made me weep, So I think that's a big topic for sure. Man, I don't know. Like, it's just they're picking out these weird stories, and it feels like they're just giving them the Call of Duty treatment. Like, oh, hey guys, we got to put out a new movie.
Yeah, I think so.
What do we got? Oh, the Warren's daughter. Let's do it. Just release all the fucking ghosts.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know. They kind of feel uninspired.
It seemed like a really minor Conjuring universe movie. That's what it was. Because, like, if this was like a legitimate, like, Conjuring 3, they would not have been able to put those monsters back overnight. You know what I mean? Or any of those demons. Like, it would not have been an overnight thing.
Yeah,
So you're
right.
telling me the Warrens took forever to, like, put those things in that room and seal them? But these fucking kids just found a way to, like, make everything go back to normal overnight?
Never really thought about that. Yeah,
I mean, it was, like, really, like, underwhelming.
Yeah, I would agree with that, dude. I don't know. I mean, I still think that The Conjuring 3 will be good. I mean, I haven't seen anything from it, obviously, but
I have a feeling as well.
yeah, I think it'll be good, but these little, like, spin-offs, man, and we saw it kind of start with The Nun. Not so great. There's that, but that's definitely a big topic for me. Let's kind of dish out our kind of specific picks. So what's been the one movie so far that you were really excited for, but that let you down kind of the most?
The one that let me down the most?
Not just from like this list, but just in general from what you've seen this year. Come out this year.
La Llorona really let me down. The Prodigy kind of let me down. The Silence, I knew it was going to be shit.
Yeah.
Annabelle Comes Home really let me down.
Yeah. That one let me down too. I think my kind of biggest disappointment probably was The Perfection, honestly. Like, with all the hype I heard about it, it wasn't quite as good as I was expecting. It was solid, but not the 5-star horror movie I was expecting. So let's go on the flip side. What about your biggest kind of surprise? What was the one that surprised you the most in terms of how good it actually was compared to what you thought you were going to see?
Pet Sematary for sure.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be another whack remake that just kind of completely changes the story for a cash grab. I thought Child's Play was good. Brightburn was a lot better than I expected. And Escape Room, I didn't go in with any expectations, and I actually thought it was good. Godzilla, kind of another one of those that kind of,
yeah.
The Hole in the Ground, I really liked. Kind of surprised me. Like I said, another one of those movies I went in with no expectations, not knowing what the fuck was going on. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Midsummer was a lot crazier than I anticipated. I didn't think it was going to go the way it went. And honestly, I've been let down that much this year. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think we've had a pretty good year so far, aside from like the few stinkers. And we still got a lot to come, but I will say mine probably actually has been Crawl, because I was kind of excited about it due to, Sam Raimi and Alexander Aya being on it. But I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. It was a really good creature feature, very intense. And once it started going, it really didn't let up pretty much at all. Just a great kind of like survival flick, and had actually a lot of good horror elements and kills too in it. So I've really enjoyed that one. That one's brand new if you guys haven't watched it yet. We are going to post a written review on it, but I would recommend you go check it out. And I think we've pretty much established that Midsommar has been our favorite of the year so far. So I'm not going to ask that question, but out of what's coming out, very briefly, what are you most excited for?
It Chapter 2, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, Black Christmas remake, the Rabid remake, the Lighthouse, and Critters Attack. Dr. Sleep as well.
Dr. Sleep seems like it'll be pretty cool. I'm actually pretty pumped for In Fabric. I think that one might be like a surprise hit,
I saw a poster for that like last year, and like they didn't give us a release date. Now it's finally coming out, so pretty interested to see.
I'm pretty excited. I hope it actually comes out this year, but we will see about that. It Chapter 2 also is probably my most anticipated. I'm excited for Scary Stories, as I've mentioned. And I'm actually really excited for Ready or Not. I just wish that the trailer wasn't so spoilery, but that one actually seems pretty cool. And maybe my other most anticipated one, other than it, is The Lighthouse as well. I think...
Are you going to say Zombieland?
I mean, I'm excited for Zombieland, but I'm not like, oh my God, Zombieland, you know. But The Lighthouse, I've heard nothing but rave, like critic reviews. So that one, I'm very pumped for. I just know almost nothing about it, but that's kind of cool though. It's still keeping my expectations balanced.
Is Critters Attack going to be a sequel to the fourth one, or is it going to be a sequel or a continuation of the new binge?
It's not a continuation from the new binge. I think it's related to the movie series.
Okay.
But since I haven't seen anything past 2, I don't really know. I think it's either supposed to be after 4 or after 2. If you guys know, let us know. But I think we're going to move on now from this topic. I'm still expecting some pretty interesting trends to come out from the end of the year. Let us know what you guys think is going to happen with horror on the back end of 2019. It's promising to be a really exciting year. We've got a lot of good stuff still coming out. And let us know what's surprised you the most, what's disappointed you, what your favorite movie of the year so far is. But we're going to discuss now another 2019 film, but this is going to be a brand new one out on streaming services. And we're going to let you know if you should watch it or if you should not on The Chopping Block. All right, fiends. And on this week's Chopping Block, we've got a movie that you're going to see is kind of familiar to Club Dread and even to our general theme of summer in this episode. We've got a new Austrian film that we have talked about before, Party Hard, Die Young.
This was one of the ones that I was excited to see. Mm-hmm. The killer resembles Legion from Dead by Daylight with that smiley mask and the hood, and they run. They have a knife.
Yeah, so this one's out on Shudder, and it is kind of a slasher movie. I will say from the get-go, the killer costume, I'm not really a fan of the whole, like, teen killer that just wears, like, the hoodie and shit, like, fucking Bloodfest and Hellfest and all those other fests. And
they already did it.
I know. It seems to be, like, whenever there's a festival or some big party, that's, like, the get-up. Because you got to blend in. I don't know, man. I don't like it.
I don't either.
I don't like it. And it would be different if like the masks were cool. But so far for all these killers, I don't know. This has been probably like the best mask, and I still hated it.
Yeah.
Like the overall getup was just kind of bad. But so I won't really say anything more about the killer. That's whatever. But the rest of the movie, I mean, what do you think about the general like storyline? Obviously, without really giving anything away.
I thought it lacked a little bit of substance.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know this was gonna, spoiler alert, turn into like a revenge movie. I thought there was some just guy picking off teenagers on spring break because he couldn't get caught or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, with like 80s slasher movies, there is a reason sometimes, but sometimes you got stuff like Halloween, stuff like Nightmare on Elm Street, where the motive isn't really immediate, but you've also got an interesting killer too. And this one reminded me of like post-2000s slasher imitations where, it's just always some kind of like familial thing or some kind of bullying thing or revenge, something like that. And, not saying exactly what happens, but this movie kind of gives off that vibe too with just the general group of teenagers that we have. It's all these like very modern millennial, like college kids. And I don't know, I guess it's just like how teenagers now have evolved. I just fucking hate them more than
I do too.
I hate any of them from the 80s, even though in the 80s they were like setting people on fire to prank them and shit.
Yeah, we always talk about that.
But now they're just kind of like douchebags. I didn't find any of the characters redeemable, really. Even the main Like the final girl.
I didn't like her.
I didn't really like her that much.
I felt that this was one of the movies where, like, once I found out what was going on, I was really rooting for the killer.
Kind of, yeah.
Like,
Me too.
really was rooting for him.
Yeah, unfortunately, the killer didn't really end up being very interesting at all, and I was kind of let down by that aspect. So that didn't save it for me, honestly. At the beginning of the movie, I was kind of enjoying it, but the pacing really kind of slowed down after that. We just got a lot of like procedural kind of slasher movie / thriller movie stuff going on in the story and between the characters. I don't know, just a lot of really unimportant garbage, like filler trash.
Yeah. The cinematography was good, though. It
Yeah.
didn't seem like... It had really Hollywood cinematography. It didn't seem really like an independent film. Like, it was... The only redeeming quality, I would say, for this film was the camera work.
Yeah, I still think it definitely was an indie movie and kind of resembled an indie movie, but the camera work was solid. The production design was good. Basically, the film follows this group of kids from Austria, I think, or something, who go to this island for this like annual getaway party, and everything on the island is cool. Like
It's no Club Dread, though.
it's no Club Dread, but the concert venues that they got set up and everything were much more massive and, pretty impressive. The amount of people that they got in this movie was very impressive. So overall, the production design was great. The set was great. The environment was awesome. Very beautiful. There's a lot of neon in this movie, which was pretty consistent throughout the movie, but eventually kind of dropped off toward the end. But visually, yeah, this movie was dope. And the score was good too. I mean, got all that like EDM music, but
I didn't like how, like, it wasn't really like Club Dread, because like a quarter of the way through the movie they introduced that video and like started hinting that it could be something to do with that, and it really was. And the unraveling really wasn't anything great. It was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was pretty predictable at the end of the day. Unfortunately, is what I'll say about that. And yeah, I pretty much knew what was going on. Not like immediately, a little further into the movie, but you can connect the pieces. Like, it's not that hard with this one, I think. But maybe you won't know exactly who the killer is, but in general, I think you'll have a pretty good idea of what the story becomes. And there just wasn't really that much else that kept my interest. The kills were really whatever.
Yeah, they really were.
When they actually happened. There was just I don't know. I don't always advocate for more like creative kills and blood and stuff like that, but it would have helped this movie, I think, for sure.
I think the kills could have been done a lot better. The first one was like kind of an accidental suicide, and the rest of them were just kind of just nothing really over the top, nothing really impressive. Like, usually the kills are redeeming qualities to like shit movies.
Yeah.
But for this shit movie, there wasn't really many redeemable qualities.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think they would have benefited from being a little bit more creative and assertive with the kills, but they chose instead to make a lot of those sequences seem, I don't even know, it'd be kind of a spoiler if I said it, but more like trippy than they should have been. And
yeah,
they tried to do a Club Dread thing where they made us almost want to believe that a number of these people were the killer and take us through all these twists and turns, but the actual like interpersonal character dynamics were not as interesting. I mean, there was no humor really, it was just a bunch of like douchebag kids talking all the time. And so, this one just kind of fell off with me. It became really kind of boring after like the first 20 or 30 minutes. And so for me personally, I would say you can skip this one. It's shot well, it's acted pretty well, but that's about it.
Yeah, I would skip it if I were you, definitely.
All right, so that's all we have to say for Party Hard, Die Young. Guys, if you have Shudder, I would definitely recommend you check out some other movies. But I think that's going to wrap it up here for episode 70. Again, hit us up with your favorite movies of 2019 so far, your biggest disappointments, surprises, what you're looking forward to. And if you want to talk to us about Club Dread or Party Hard Die Young, you can do so. We have all of our social media, Facebook and Instagram at Grave Discussions and Gravedisc SRD on Twitter. You can also check out gravediscussions.net.
Join us next week where we juggle fire and crush watermelons with our bare hands on episode 71 of Grave Discussions.
This has been an SRD production.